From the very beginning of Stranger Things, Will Byers has been uniquely tied to the Upside Down and its horrors. In Season 1, Will was abducted by a Demogorgon into the Upside Down, surviving there for a week when most victims perished immediately. This was no accident. It was Vecna orchestrating Will's abduction for a larger purpose. Unlike Barb, who was killed outright, Will was kept alive, even strung up in the Upside Down with a vine down his throat. This means that Will is uniquely important to Vecna. Their fates have been intertwined since Will first vanished in 1983. With Will's enduring psychic bond in mind, fans across Reddit, YouTube, and Twitter have spun elaborate theories about why Vecna needs Will alive in the final season, instead of simply killing or absorbing him. In this video, we have the most popular and compelling theories, many of which have gained significant traction in online discussions. One widely discussed theory is that Vecna intends to possess or control Will one more time, using him as a psychic vessel in Season 5. In the official trailer, Vecna confronts Will and vows, "William, you are going to help me." The phrase "one last time" strongly implies Vecna has used Will before, namely during the Season 2 possession, and now plans to do so again. Fans on Reddit and YouTube speculate that Vecna might invade Will's mind or body to enact his final plan. Essentially, Will could become Vecna's puppet or spy once more, allowing Vecna to infiltrate the hero's ranks or to operate in the real world through Will. There is plenty of narrative logic to support this. In Season 2, the Mind Flayer, under Vecna's control, used Will to learn about Hawkins Lab's strategies, earning Will the D&D-inspired nickname, The Spy. If Vecna's physical form is weak after the Season 4 battle, taking control of Will could be the easiest way for him to move freely and strike from within. Some fans even fear Will might betray the gang under Vecna's influence. Not by choice, but via possession, creating an emotional conflict where Will's friends must save him and Hawkins at the same time. The trailer imagery of Vecna levitating Will and the ominous promise that Will help him support this vessel theory. Rather than kill Will, Vecna sees more value in keeping him alive as a host. This also raises the risk for our heroes. If they attack Vecna through Will's link, they could risk harming their friend. Another hugely popular theory draws parallels to Vecna's Dungeons & Dragons lore. In D&D, Vecna is a lich, an undead wizard who protects his soul by hiding pieces of it in objects called phylacteries, much like Voldemort's Horcruxes in Harry Potter. Fans have speculated that in Stranger Things, Will Byers himself is essentially Vecna's phylactery. The idea is that when the Mind Flayer's shadow invaded Will in Season 2, Vecna may have embedded a part of his essence into Will, turning Will into a living anchor for his survival. This would mean Vecna cannot be fully killed while Will lives, and likewise, if Vecna dies, Will might die too because of that soul link. This theory gained traction because Vecna repeatedly survives seemingly fatal attacks. In Season 4, Vecna's physical body was beaten and burned, yet he didn't die, implying some extraordinary immortality at work. Vecna has been around since Season 1, precisely because he tethered himself to other beings and creatures. The Demogorgons, Demodogs, Demobats, and even the Mind Flayer's particles could all act as fragments of Vecna's being, phylacteries he uses to regenerate. Will, still carrying the psychic imprint of the hive mind, would be the most important fragment. If Will's life is bound up with Vecna's, that explains why Vecna would avoid killing him. Keeping Will alive preserves Vecna's own immortality, whereas destroying Will could fatally weaken Vecna. As evidence, fans point out that Will, alone among Vecna's past victims, was kept alive and assimilated rather than eliminated. Season 5 could put this Horcrux theory to the test. If the heroes realize Will is effectively Vecna's anchor, they may face a terrible dilemma. How do you destroy Vecna without harming Will? In fact, a dark speculation is that Will might ultimately have to sacrifice himself to destroy Vecna for good. This would be the ultimate payoff of the Horcrux idea, that Will's death would simultaneously end Vecna's threat. It's a heartbreaking scenario many fans have discussed, though it remains purely speculative. Reported that if Vecna dies, Will might too, unless Vecna himself voluntarily casts Will out of the hive mind to sever the link. This raises the possibility that Vecna, realizing Will's connection now poses a risk, since Will can sense and even potentially spy on Vecna, might try to remove that link, but only at the final stage when he's done using it. Until then, Vecna has a strong motive to keep Will safe as his insurance policy. Some fan theories take a more cosmic approach, proposing that Will is the key to the Upside Down itself, and that Vecna needs him alive to merge the Upside Down with reality, or to prevent it from being closed off. This stems from the mystery of why the Upside Down is frozen on the exact date Will vanished. One elaborate Reddit-originated theory argues that Will's entry into the Upside Down caused the dimension to imprint Hawkins into its fabric, effectively creating the Hawkins-like upside-down environment. In this view, Will has an innate, unconscious ability to overlap the two universes, an ability Vecna covets. When 11 first sent Henry Creel to the primordial Upside Down in 1979, it was just a barren alien realm. But when Will was pulled in during 1983, his presence magically merged that dimension with Hawkins, imprinting the town's layout and even its timeline onto the Upside Down. That would explain why Will could communicate with Joyce via lights. He was literally overlapping his house in both worlds. It would also explain the Upside Down being stuck in time. It's Will's Hawkins that became frozen on the day he arrived. If Will alone inadvertently bridged the worlds, then Vecna's grand design to tear down the barrier between dimensions might require Will's continued existence. Will is the one who caused the two universes to overlap, which might explain why Vecna is so interested in him. Vecna may believe that using Will, or perhaps his latent ability, could permanently fuse the Upside Down with our world, achieving his apocalypse much faster. This overlaps with the plot from Season 2, where Vecna, through the Mind Flayer, was trying to spread the Upside Down via tunnels under Hawkins. Will, notably, was the one who located those tunnels for the heroes because he was psychically connected to that spreading dark realm. It's theorized that Vecna was attempting to use Will even then as a conduit to invade the right side up more efficiently. If this theory holds true, then killing Will would shut a critical door for Vecna. Indeed, some fans suggest Vecna can't complete his endgame without Will. Other fans interpret Will as the key to closing the Upside Down. In several fan theories, Will's survival might be essential to undoing Vecna's apocalypse. For example, if Will can somehow close every gate at once via his link. One Reddit theory even posits that Will could act as a sort of inverse key. By sacrificing himself, he might permanently shut the Upside Down and destroy Vecna's power. This would be the ultimate heroic reason Vecna hasn't killed Will, because narratively, Will may need to be alive until the final confrontation, where he himself chooses to close the door he inadvertently opened. In either interpretation, Vecna sees Will as integral to the fate of the two worlds. Killing Will prematurely might sabotage Vecna's own plans. Beyond practical strategy, fans also explore psychological reasons for Vecna's fixation on Will. Some believe Vecna feels a kinship or mirror image relation to Will Byers. Both were sensitive, lonely boys who felt misunderstood by those around them. Vecna was a disturbed child with psychic powers who grew to resent humanity. Will is a gentle, artistic kid who has felt different, struggling quietly with his trauma and identity, but still has a good heart. This thematic parallel has led to a theory that Vecna might want Will to become his heir or successor in the Upside Down, rather than kill him. On social media, fans have noted that Henry Creel's childhood in the 1950s expanded upon in the Stranger Things, the first Shadow stage play, and Will's experiences have eerie overlaps. Both encountered the Upside Down at a young age and were forever changed by it. A viral Twitter theory pointed out that Vecna harbors an obsession with time. He hates how time brings change and decay. And intriguingly, Will too is associated with time stuck in place. The Upside Down frozen on the date of his disappearance, his nostalgia for the past, etc. This has fueled speculation that Vecna senses in Will a kindred spirit who similarly feels out of step with time. If Vecna indeed sees himself in Will, he might prefer to corrupt Will rather than consume him. Vecna could be keeping Will alive in hopes of transforming him, breaking his spirit, and then molding him into a creature of the Upside Down. This angle, while speculative, adds a psychological depth to Vecna's interest. Will is the one that got away, the boy who survived Vecna's world. Vecna might relish the idea of turning Will to his side as the ultimate victory over the Hawkins gang that defied him. That's all for today. Thank you for watching the video to the end. Please like and leave a comment. I'll be sure to read them and respond to all your comments as best I can. Also, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new videos.